Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak with Digital Polymath and 3-times founder Candice DeVille. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jason. Great to be here.
Awesome. And today we're going to talk about AI and automation secrets for smarter workflows. AI is all the rage, right? ChatGPT came out, kind of caused a big storm. And ever since, people have been just hearing AI, AI, AI. So what I want to know from you is, first of all, what got you interested in the automation piece to AI? Because a lot of people aren't really talking about that. They're talking about more about productivity. So give me the insights onto why you thought automation was the way to go.
Yeah, well, I've been working in the digital space for about 25 years, and a large part of that was in the digital marketing side of it. So that's how we, got into machine learning and algorithms and all those sorts of things. But our business as such, we didn't want to grow it to be many, many heads and have a lot of hierarchy. And we realized that one of the best ways to do that was by leveraging that part of AI that is automation, and building all kinds of sequences that would free us up from the busy work to do the impactful work without having to have a huge hierarchical structure that added a lot more time to all the processes as well.
Yeah, because the idea with AI is to lessen the time that's used, right? So now when you talk about automation and leveraging technologies, I mean, AI itself is a tool that has to be used along with other things. So what are some of the other things that are used in order to automate the processes a little bit more? Because like ChatGPT doesn't automate, it just kind of provides information. But what else are you using on top of that to automate processes?
Yeah, we use a few things, and one of the most basic ways to start is by using those the AI with automation engines, being Zapier or Make.com. So that's a really nice, simple way to do it for people that are starting out there.
Yeah, Zapier is cool because you can really plug in a lot of different platforms in terms of whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? Whatever you're trying to accomplish. But also with automation, entrepreneurs probably don't even know how to use automation. They're still doing everything manually. So if you tell an entrepreneur today, here's how you can start automating different things, what would you tell them the first 3 steps would be to get started?
The first step is always by doing that mind map or that flow chart. When you pick a particular task and a particular outcome that you're looking for there, to actually do a flow chart of all of the steps that you go through to achieve that. And that's where we can start assessing what kind of automation is best for this flow and how we plug different tools in at different points. And that could be a mix of using Zapier and Make, or what we do a lot now is we actually build AI agents as well, who have the ability to execute on tasks. And now we combine all of those.
Right. So you got Zapier, you got Make, you got AI agents, and most small business owners probably never heard of most of this. I mean, because there's only like a small percentage of the world that's using AI, believe it or not. So most people feel like it's because they're either afraid of it. I swear, most people are afraid of AI. They really are, because it Terminator, end of days and all that kind of stuff. The machines are taking over. So what are the risks, if any, to entrepreneurs if they do get involved with everything that you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, some of the key things that we have to look at when we're using AI or automation is, what is the risk profile of the job that you want it to do? So as we evaluate risk profile, we look at things like how it's interacting with the public. So there's things like brand risks, reputational risks. We've got data and security risks. So where is your data going as a part of this? What kind of credentials or logins might be needed for it? Do you have any agreements with your customers that say that their data can't be used outside of the country, for example? So we need to evaluate that. And we can do that once we actually understand both the overarching goals of what you're trying to automate, as well as where things go in that process. Because sometimes, you're using a software that it's hosted somewhere in Europe, and then for us somewhere in the States, and then maybe somewhere in Asia. What's that chain actually look like? And where are those weak links or the things that may actually pose a risk to you?
That's a great point, because as we both know, and as everyone listening or watching knows, that's the biggest problem in the world today is data and privacy, right? And with AI, you're giving away your life's information, your personality, you're giving everything to this AI, and you're hoping that the powers that be don't utilize that in a negative way. Now, we also know that AI takes the information and learns from it, and then kind of becomes this whole other AI that is catering to you. So what do you tell business owners to use that to their advantage?
Well, that's very much within their control and what sort of AI models they're actually using. So for us, we generally choose things that are not learning on our data unless we specify what that is. And then we're actually training our own models on that kind of data. So one of those big risks for a lot of business owners is understanding that when they're using a lot of these tools or when they're using things like ChatGPT, what are some of the ways that they can protect themselves or have different conversation memories or not have the model trained on that? What should you give it? What should you not give it, depending on the level of security that you've opted into or out of?
Yeah, that's a good. I like these examples, and I actually want to hear maybe like a story from you that kind of outlines how how you help the business choose the right tasks to automate. Because most people are going to ask that question, and I'm not going to have an answer, but you will. So let's say a company comes to you, and let's say they're a brand company or a web design firm or whatnot. What would you say to them? Like, here's how you figure out how to automate your tasks.
Yeah. So the first thing that we do is we look at the volume of work they have that's, grunt work, the things that they just have to do over and over again. It's really replicable. It often has a high degree of human error that might be involved in that as well. And then we look for that first project that has a slightly lower risk. So it's not dealing with really confidential information or having to do too much.
Well,
But I'll give you a great,
let's give an example of each, right? So
yeah.
you mentioned like grunt work and things that have human error. What are some of the things that fall into that category?
Yeah, so a great example of this, and this is very industry agnostic, let's say. We all have debts that need to be collected as business owners, right? And that can be really difficult. And we find that quite often those debts will blow out to like 30 days, 60 days, 120 days. And someone is responsible for following that up and doing reconciliations.
Hmm.
So, in one particular instance, not long ago, we worked with a financial controller who was spending 2 days on this for his business every week. And
Wow.
that's a lot at a CFO salary.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so we created an automation combined with AI for them that was able to work with their accounting software to determine how many days things were outstanding by, and then create customized follow-up emails based on what was in those invoices and also what we knew about those clients, so that it could automatically send these follow-up emails in a quite personalized manner and then recheck that and make sure that things were reconciled during the week to see what the outcome was. And not only were we able to save those 2 full days a week for the CFO, the other thing we did was we were able to reduce the number of days of outstanding debt. So
Right.
instead of things blowing out to 120 days, they're now being reconciled in under 30. And that's massive for business cash flow.
Yeah, that's a great example. And then you mentioned the other one being grunt work and like things that were very repetitive. What are some of those examples for those?
Yeah. So a lot of those things will be, particularly in like data cleanup, for example. Let's say you get a CSV file and you've downloaded it from somewhere and you want to use it, but it's full of unusual characters or things that just don't work for what you're after. Maybe you want to put it into an email list and it's a bit messy. Being able to use AI and automation for that means that we can take those downloads, have them automatically run through and cleaned up in AI, spat out the other end, and go into whatever you need. And that could be, say, something like that email list that you never have to touch. It's automatically doing the download, it's automatically cleaning the data, and updating your lists where you need them to be.
That's a good example. I know recently I was working with one of my teams on a marketing strategy for like a brand launch. And we basically fed it like the Bible of the company. Like, here's all the company information. Here's what we do. Here's what the app does. Here's what this does. Give us a day by day, week by week marketing strategy with fun events and things like that. It really gave us better than we could have came up with, right? Better. I mean, it really is true. But and it did it in just a couple seconds, and then we can then fine tune it. And I feel like AI is good at giving you inspiration, ideas, and then motivating you to kind of get things done on your own terms. Is that kind of how you feel about it too?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things for me is that working with AI, and the more you do it, you realize it can help you get out of your own way. So the things that get you stuck, the things that you sit at your desk going, oh, do I have to do this today?
That's exactly how I feel when I do it, right?
Right, right. You have
Uh,
those moments. And as soon as I feel that, I think, okay, I'm going to figure out how AI can help me with this.
Right.
And sometimes it's the thought starters, sometimes it's the motivational talk that you need.
Yeah.
There can be all sorts of things just to help you structure your thoughts, which can sometimes be really messy. And I'll give you a great example. I often talk to my ChatGPT while I'm in the car, get it
Right.
to interview me, pull out ideas, and they're still messy, but then it
Sure.
takes those ideas, structures them, turns them into something really useful. So by the time I'm back in the office, I've got exactly what I needed, and I didn't have to spend a whole day sorting out my thoughts.
Yeah, and you said the key, right, is that you were talking to it. So therefore you're talking about your whatever issues you might have or challenges or problems or ideas, right? You're still getting it out of your head, which is important.
Right.
Now, we've been talking about all the great things about AI and everything great about automation, but what are the biggest mistakes people might make when starting out with automation that you've seen and then they come to you for help?
Yeah. One of the big misconceptions is that you set it up, it's like set and forget, and it never is. So working with both AI and automation is not at all like buying a piece of software that you put in and you just expect it to go.
Right.
These things will require monitoring and maintenance because systems will change and grow. So whether that's new models, how things are connected, even authentication tokens sometimes drop off. So it's really important to not only invest in that initial project, but to understand how you're going to monitor and maintain this on an ongoing basis so that it works and you can have continual improvement.
Well, and also you mentioned before about the financial officer using the automation with the AI. You need to see how effective it is, right? So you have to like see the data or some sort of results, and then decide if that automation and that AI is actually working to your benefit or to your
Yes.
detriment, right? So there has to be a good and a bad there as well, I believe. Now, you know quite a bit about AI and automation, obviously. So I'm sure you've thought about where it might be headed in the future of work and business. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it really depends on the industries and people's uptake of that. As you say, some are very afraid to do it, and then there's those who are so excited they're just out there doing it as quickly as possible. But with agents, AI agents, this will, for the most part, take over a lot of automation that we have now because it is very smart and it's also self-learning, self-healing, all of these things. And where AI agents are going will take over a lot of basic admin automation. The other side of automation is things like, manufacturing and whatnot, and that's a different kettle of fish.
So tell me like a story. Like you wake up 5 years from now, and this is what you see happening in the world. Like, give me an idea of what you're thinking.
Yeah, so particularly with AI agents, if anyone doesn't know what they are, essentially they're all of our worker ants. And we imagine that we have one head worker ant that decides, okay, this is my job, and I have a team. And that team could be 500 agents who all do extremely specialty tasks. They will talk to each other, collaborate, and then can act on that. And so, in effect, the human being in the loop is quite often only dealing with that head worker ant to tell them, this is what we want and the outcome. Off you go. And the whole team of 500 go and do that, which is exceedingly cool if you want to actually get a lot of those things done and get them done really quickly. So, there's specialists inside of that that can go and do things. So, what that does for us as human beings is it frees up a lot of our time to be the thinkers in the piece, to be the creativity, to be the ideas people, the stuff that we really want to be doing a lot of the time and find that our hands are tied with the grunt work we've got to do to make some of this happen. And for me, that what that means is that ultimately we can tap untapped human potential. So, for those people who may not have a particular skill or an ability or accessibility to things, we're now going to be able to tap into so much more human knowledge and creativity because it's going to give us that tool to be able to do it.
And that's just it right there is what I tell people constantly. They say, well, what's going to happen when AI takes over and all our jobs are taken? And I always say, we still have to be the creative people. We still have to be productive. As a matter of fact, like you just said, our time is going to be back to us so we can focus on the more important things as opposed to spreadsheets and documents and God knows what else we're doing all day long. So I totally agree with you. Now, if people want to work with you or they want to talk to you more about AI or automation, where would they go and how would they find you?
Yeah. So we're AI Copilot. So you just go to aicopilot.com. and you'll find everything you need there. And one of the things that we have available at the moment, before it even hits the Amazon shelves,
Nice.
is we've created a playbook on navigating AI readiness. So even being able to understand where your business is right now and how close you are to be able to adopt AI and what to do to get there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Candice. Guys, check it out, aicopilot.com. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you in the next one.